Welcome to today's event here at Orchestra Careers. I am so excited for our second annual virtual summer job fair. We've got a fabulous panel who you're going to meet here pretty soon, all with amazing experiences and resume building work for you this summer. But my name's Sonia Thomes, and I'm the creator of Orchestra Careers. And by day in the week, I'm the vice president and general manager at the Nashville Symphony. And summer festivals was how I started to realize there were people that worked behind the scenes. And so I'm really excited to just share the panel and all the opportunities that they have with you. So without further ado, we are going to get right into this. You're going to hear from each of the 5 festivals, and we can pause for questions in between, but if you have questions as they come up, you can also put them in the chat. We'll try to grab them as we can. And we'll just, be sure to answer all your questions. So first off, we're going to go to John Thompson from Aspen Music Festival. Hi, John, how are you?
Good. Glad to be here. And Sonia, just remind me, you want me to just tell a little bit about the festival and kind of what sort of experiences we have available for positions and whatnot?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Tell us about Aspen and where you're located and what the festival's like in the summer and how people can find out more about job postings.
Great. We're located in Aspen, Colorado, which is 3.5, 4 hours out of Denver, up in the mountains. It's absolutely beautiful in the summer and winter, but summer is honestly my favorite. We typically have our festival starting around the weekend of July 4th, and it's an 8-week long festival. And we do anywhere from 300 to 450 events in those 8 weeks. And that's of course ranging from very small little recitals all the way up to our big operas and kind of specials for the season. We have a full-time staff of around 36, 37, depending on the month. And then in the summer, we bring in an additional approximately 150 staff. Now that can range from, our facilities positions to marketing to orchestra managers and production, piano technicians, everything. I will admit that we are often used as a springboard for a lot of people, and I think that's really important to note in all of summer festivals. But we bring people in, and I've seen people go from one position to another the next year and kind of really find which position they want to continue in a future career or the rest of their career. And we like to promote that as well. I like to hear from returners what they want to do in the future and how we can kind of help in that journey. We have all of our jobs posted online right now on our website. And I will tell you that some of the higher positions have already been hired, a lot of the managers, which is also a good thing because that means we're ready to go on to our next kind of level of openings and do those interviews with those managers. I think that's anything else you wanted me to hit?
Yeah, John, I think a question that we got last time we did this was what kind of candidate will be successful at Aspen? Like what kind of people have you seen really fit well into the festival environment?
Yeah, I think, like I said, there is a large variety of positions. So we kind of have something available for every kind of level of experience. Whether you're starting on the lowest level and want to start more on the ops assistant side and work your way up to an orchestra manager. We have 3 right now that I think just made that transition. So there's a variety of positions, but and then going all the way up to manager. So we'll let you know, once again, we're already mostly hired there, but it doesn't hurt to apply for the ones that are open. People are really going to like it here if they like the high intensity 350 events in 8 weeks that are all very rewarding at the same time. And also just love the summers. It's especially, I like that I work in the morning at a rehearsal, for example, from 8 to 11, and then I have like a 3-hour break that I can go on a hike or something in between, and then come back for a concert in the evening. So it's a huge variety of kind of work and enjoying the mountains. And we have bring in all levels of talent, whether it's some of our 400 some students or if it's some of our guest artists that we bring in every season.
Excellent. Thanks so much, John. And from Aspen, Colorado, we're going to go all the way over to Greensboro, North Carolina to Eastern Music Festival. Hi, Chris. How are you today?
Great, Sonia. Thank you very much. And thank you for inviting me and letting me be a part of this. Very similar to John's story at Aspen, but on a slightly smaller scale. EMF is 62 years old. We've been around for a while. And we are a 5-week-long summer festival with a professional orchestra, 2 young artist orchestras, piano program, guitar, conducting, tuba euphonium, a 2-week tuba euphonium camp. So we cover a lot of bases on a slightly smaller scale. We have decided many years ago to focus intensely. So we have a student population of about 265, a faculty of 60 or 65, and we are looking for 30-ish, 35-ish, 38, something like that, summer staffers. I started my long and crooked career path, I think, as an 18-year-old working at summer festivals. So I've been at it for about 10 years. That's good. It's a lot longer than 10 years, folks. That's a joke. It's a wonderful experience. EMF, it's the same situation. We need everything from stage managers to librarians to front of house crew that are working with tickets and audiences to deans of students and counselors, because our students do live on campus. Guest artist liaisons that work with our soloists who are flying in, those kinds of things. So it's a good 5.5-week festival. The commitment for an employee is usually 6.5 weeks. We try and get you down a little early. If you're on the media team, it may be even a little longer than that, because we need you working earlier in June to help get a lot of storylines started that need to predate the festival. So it's a wonderful paid experience. You live on campus in an apartment setting with your fellow staffers. Unless you're a counselor, then you live in the dorms with some of the students, but you have your own room. It's a good experience. It's just what you, I hope, are considering. It's sort of one giant leap beyond summer camp, but one leap in the right direction of professional experience in the arts.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Chris. And I'm familiar with the summer weather in the Rockies, because I spent a couple summers in Breckenridge. What is summer like in Greensboro, North Carolina?
Greensboro is a beautiful city. It does not have mountains, unfortunately. It's in the middle of the state. It can be very warm and very muggy, but it can also turn out to be a really beautiful few weeks. We get some thunderstorms that can be very entertaining. And the good part about being in a city like Greensboro, it's a historic place. We are many of you may know that the Civil Rights Movement had one of its key pivotal moments in Greensboro with the sit-ins. And there's a connection with Eastern Music Festival and that generation of civil rights workers. And in fact, on the Guilford College campus where we operate, Guilford College was a stop on the Underground Railroad. So there's some interesting things to learn about life beyond stage work and festival production if you're in a setting like Greensboro.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Chris. All right, we're going to go up to Chicago, Illinois. Chris Collins from Grant Park Music Festival. He's got some fabulous information. Take it away, Chris.
Thank you, Sonia, to you and Orchestra Careers for inviting the Grant Park Music Festival to take part in this virtual job fair today. My name is Chris Collins. I'm the general manager of the Grant Park Music Festival. Been in this position going into my 6th season now, and wanted to start off by just telling you a little bit about the Grant Park Music Festival. So our festival runs for 10 weeks. We run generally through mid-June through mid-August. On a normal week, and there increasingly are fewer and fewer normal weeks, but on normal weeks we give a concert on Wednesday and then a pair of concerts on Friday and Saturday. So we're doing 2 programs a week. We are producing about 270 events over the course of the 10 weeks of the festival. As Sonia mentioned, we're located in Chicago, Illinois. We're actually right in the heart of downtown, 1 block away from Lake Michigan. We're very fortunate to have our home in Millennium Park and the Jay Pritzker Pavilion Pavilion, which you can see on your screen there, a facility that was designed by Frank Gehry. For those of you who have seen other Frank Gehry buildings, this is very much similar in terms of its design. And our pavilion can accommodate about 12,000 people. We can really fit 15,000 if we have everyone huddled together without spreading out on the lawn too much. But generally, we're seeing between 7,000 and 8,000 people attending our performances each evening. And one of the things that really makes us unique in the industry is the fact that all of our concerts are 100% free and open to all. So that is one of the things about the Grant Park Music Festival that really strikes a chord with me. One of the reasons why I'm so passionate about working here. We were founded actually during the Great Depression to lift the spirits of weary Chicagoans. So since our founding, we've always been free and open to the public, and we have more than 250,000 people who come to our concerts each season, 100% free of charge. Our musicians, we have 83 musicians of the Grant Park Orchestra. About half of them live here in Chicago, and the remaining half are coming from locations across the country. We also have, and I'm biased admittedly, but I think one of the finest symphonic choruses in the United States, the Grant Park Chorus. We have about 150 musicians of that. It's a 100% professional chorus. And most of these people are making a living as a vocalist here in the Chicagoland area. There's not lots of cities where you can actually make a living as a professional chorister. We're fortunate to have Carlos Kalmar as our artistic director, and he has actually been here for 23 seasons. So this coming year will be his 24th, and our chorus is led by Christopher Bell. Switching over to talking a little bit about our job opportunities. So the ones that I wanted to focus specifically on today are the ones that are listed on your screen. We have 2 artistic assistant positions. We have an education and community engagement assistant. And then we also have a patron services assistant. What I don't have mentioned here is an usher. We hire about 50 ushers over the course of the season. That's a very, very part-time work. So for those of you who aren't already in Chicago, probably wouldn't make sense to become an usher for the summer, but the rest of these positions are full-time. So moving over to the artistic assistant position, the primary job of these positions is to serve as our guest artist liaison. So the types of responsibilities that you would be responsible for would be organizing the guest artist travel, their lodging, their ground transportation. You're having to do a lot of the advance work, getting all of their itineraries ready. It actually is a lot more complicated than what you would think, because you're having to arrange for meetings with the conductor, making room reservations. And this, as you can imagine, is a very busy space. So in addition to that, you're the primary contact with the guest artists when they're here in town. So anytime they need anything, you are the first person that they are calling. It's a really exciting opportunity. Frankly, you're getting to work with a great crop of guest artists. I have pictured here just some of the many guest artists that you would be working with over the course of the summer. In addition to doing that aspect of the job, however, you're also starting to get acquainted with personnel management projects for both the orchestra and the chorus, which is very, very meaningful and exciting work to get to know all the musicians of the orchestra and chorus, and then also assist with artistic planning projects. So generally, you would be helping me do a little bit of research for potential projects for the following season, helping with database entry and OPAS, for those of you who are familiar with that. So it's kind of a good opportunity to learn that database as well. Our second position are our education and community engagement assistant positions. So in essence, you are assisting our education manager with all of the programs listed on the screen. So we have a classical campers program where we're bringing 80 different students every single day to the festival. Most of them, that's their first experience with classical music, and many of them their first time ever in downtown Chicago. So they're doing music immersion activities, seeing the orchestra rehearse, and then doing a Q&A with musicians of the orchestra, chorus, and our guest artists. We have string and vocal fellowships for musicians of color in their 20s, where they're actually playing with the orchestra in chorus over the course of the summer, and also in our Night Out in the Park series, which is a series of chamber music concerts in parks throughout the city of Chicago. We have a visiting master's program, so those are all master classes with many of the guest artists that are joining us this season. We also have our Young Artist Showcase, which spotlights young performing arts organizations, youth performing arts organizations, performing before our concerts on the Great Lawn. And then we also have our nightly pre-concert lecture series. So you would be involved in all of those activities. If you're interested in education or production, that would be a very good position for you. And then the final thing I wanted to mention is our patron services assistant position. In essence, this is for those of you who are interested in marketing and patron services. You do a lot of box office opportunities for all of our festival concerts, taking care of our patrons. You're also working in Tessitura. So Tessitura is one of the leading CRM databases that most of the big orchestras utilize for their box office functions, their fundraising functions. So this is a really great opportunity to kind of get your hands wet in that very complicated database, I will say. And then also you're just really working on fostering those great relationships between the festival and our patrons. So in the case of all of these positions, they will be going up on our website in late February, early March. You're more than welcome to go to our website to find out more information. In essence, the artistic assistant positions and then the education assistant positions, those both begin in like the last week of May usually and go through the third week of August. So it's about 12 weeks of work during the summer. And then the patron services position actually starts earlier. That one is like mid-April through the end of the festival. So, and then for those of you, if there are anyone here from Chicago, it's a great way to get paid to come hear our concerts if you're interested in being an usher. So that's a little bit about the festival, and looking forward to the Q&A.
Thanks, Chris. That's great. And thanks for providing your email address. If any of the other I've meant to ask if any other festival reps want to provide an email address, that would be great for follow-up questions. And actually, I have a connection to Grant Park because when I was a young oboist in the Chicago Youth Symphony, we actually played at the old band shell a long time ago. And but that is such an amazing summer atmosphere as well. But I'm going to turn it now back to Breckenridge, Colorado, where I spent 2 summers at the National Repertory Orchestra, first as an oboist, and then I realized people work backstage, and I was a personnel manager / development intern. I kind of wore many hats, but it was a real delight to be able to spend 2 whole summers in one of my favorite places, Breckenridge, Colorado. So Dave, why don't you tell us about NRO and what it would be like to be there this summer?
Sure. Thank you for having me. My name is Dave DePeters. I'm the CEO of the National Repertory Orchestra, or the NRO, but I tend not to put CEO and NRO in the same sentence. It gets confusing. So we are probably one of the smallest groups, summer festivals. We are just one orchestra. We are small, but we are mighty. And so we really focus on experiential learning. Everybody, including myself, we are all here to learn. We all spend our summers learning from each other. So our focus is really about what you're coming in with, and then what you want to leave with. And that goes for the musicians, it goes for the staff, and it goes for the fellowship, the interns as well. When you come in the beginning of the season, the first thing we do is we sit down, the two of us sit down and set up a plan. What is it that you want to get out of the summer, and how we can best set you on that path? And then at the end of the festival, we do a check-in and see how we did. And of course, throughout the year, throughout the festival, we also have many check-ins to see if you're accomplishing the goals that you have set out for yourself. We are an 8-week festival with 80 musicians, but we do ask the fellows and the summer staff to be there for 10.5 weeks. So you will arrive 2 weeks before and stay a half a week after to help clean up. That will be this year, June 5th through August 18th. We have only 5 full-time year-round staff. And then we bring everybody else in just for the summer. We have all of our stuff is listed. All of our openings are listed on the website. I think currently we only have about 4 openings in our staff right now. Everything else has been filled. And then we have, I would guess, probably 8 or 10 fellowships, and they pretty much run the same as all the other festivals. We have, production, assistant production, stage manager, community engagement manager, recording engineers. Opening, we have in the fellowship, artist liaisons and CEO intern. So I have a CEO fellow who works with me. We do one large project each year, and then they come to all the staff meetings. They go, basically they get a lot of different project-based programs, a development, library, marketing, video, photography, personnel. But what we're looking for, the people we're looking for, the people who are, quite frankly, done with the classroom thoughts. Okay, in theory, I think I know what it's like to do this, and now I'm ready to set myself out and do it. Because we are such a small staff, experiential learning is the way we go. So we're going to be teaching you by having you do it. Okay, so we're looking for people who are ready to sort of set themselves out there. We're going to give you a project, we're going to give you some parameters, and we're going to say, you're on your own, go get them, And we really are looking for the people who are ready to do that. That's what we do with our musicians as well. Musicians, we play 4 rehearsals in a concert, and there's no teaching, there's no there's no other things that go on. They basically are ready to swim. So we throw them in the deep end and let them go. And at the end of the summer, you're going to learn a couple of things about yourself. First of all, you're going to learn that you had no idea that you could actually do all of the things that you will accomplish this summer, which is pretty remarkable. You will also learn that this is the absolute right thing for me, and I'm ready to do it, and I can't wait to get to my next step. Or you're going to learn this is not the right place for me, and I am not wanting to go there. And that's fine. That's whether you're a musician or a paid staff or an intern. We want you to learn at the end of this, we want to get you one step closer to where you want to be. And that's our goal. And that's the goals of the people we're looking for to want to come in to the NRO. And that's pretty much my spiel. And I'm happy to take any questions at the end if anybody has anything for me.
Thanks so much, Dave. And we're going to come back to my state of Tennessee, up just down the road to Sewanee. John Kilkenny, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about Sewanee Music Festival?
Yeah, great. Hi, everybody. So yeah, I'm the executive and artistic director of the Sewanee Summer Music Festival, which is now actually the Sewanee Music Center. So we've absorbed the university's performing arts series now as well. So we're overseeing that program as well as running the music festival. And as Sonia mentioned, I also am executive director of the Chattanooga Symphony. So I don't get a lot of sleep and I need a lot of help. So I'm glad to talk to all of you here today. So just about Swanee, we have on average now about 230 students that join us, around 50 faculty. We're going into the third year of our opera program. And depending on which archivist at the University of the South, which is our host institution that you asked, this is either our 66th season or our 80th season, depending on when you start counting. It's the South, so there's a lot of conflicting history. We've been around for a long time, and we're very, I'm very proud of what we're able to do. We have 2 orchestras, as I mentioned, a brand new opera program that's in its third year, a composition program, an extensive chamber music program, both for our students and you'll see our faculty performing in a faculty artist series. We have guest conductors that come in each week for both of our orchestras. We serve a population with a fairly large age range. Our youngest students are 13, 14, and our string academy, some of our younger players in the Cumberland Orchestra. And then, especially since we've added the opera program, we now run into, folks in their late 20s who are a part of that program and also a part of our instrumental program. We are 4 weeks. Our program starts June 16th and ends July 17th this year. We ask our staff to come in the week before we start. So typically we have our staff join us on the 12th. That's the Monday before we start. We'll also do some Zoom training prior to the start of the program. So we get to know each other and get to coordinate some of the work that will be happening. And then typically we have our staff stay until about the 20th of July. So a few days after to kind of wrap everything up and box everything back up for next summer. I mentioned our string academy. So in terms of open positions, there are some that are posted on our site. If you look at the job application, there are actually more jobs on the application than there are on the site. It's because we're still writing some of the descriptions. We're adding some new positions and revising some things this year. So we do have some positions already staffed, some folks returning, which is something I'm always really happy about when folks that work with us in one summer ask to come back either in the same position or if they want to try a different opportunity. And we do have a few folks returning. So you could see some of the open staff positions we have. I'll piggyback on what Dave said a little bit. We are a bit of a smaller program than you'll see from some of these other opportunities here. Although we do a lot. We'll have probably 40 events this summer. Maybe a little bit more than that, including development events, chamber music concerts, outreach performances, orchestra concerts. So of the different programs represented here, all of which are just terrific. I've attended several of these as a performer. You'll have opportunities for really stovepipe jobs, like you are doing this one thing at the summer program, and that's the one thing you're doing all summer, which is really awesome and really important for your career development. We will have jobs that will have one primary description, and then the joke around the office is other duties as assigned. So we're more of a, and Sarah, who was with us last summer, could speak to this, in part because we had a COVID outbreak, but in part because of the size of program we are. You'll be jumping into different things, and there could be a week that you're managing one of the orchestras, but you're helping out the library, or there's a number of run-out performances, so you're on the production team, but suddenly you're helping us, not suddenly, but you're also helping us with an outreach performance. So if you're looking to have a lot of experiences and interact with a whole range of faculty, really up close, Swanee is a small mountain town. They're not huge mountains like Dave and John have in Aspen, but they are beautiful. And you'll be interacting with folks every day. You'll be having lunch with faculty and staff. It's a very intimate, close-knit environment. And we find our students really learn a lot about themselves and a lot about their career development here. And what I've been proud of since I became director in 2018 is to see what we're also able to offer our staff in terms of their development. We now have a lot of folks that work for us that we're seeing working for places like the Boston Symphony and different arts councils. And they've gone on to have those careers that they want to have in arts admin support. And it's really, really proud of what we've been able to do. So love to have you join us this summer. And all of the places that are here are just really terrific opportunities. So thank you, Sonia, for setting this up, and congrats to everybody for putting on a great experience. Thanks.
Thanks, John. Yeah, and I dropped a PDF that just I've tried to put all in one place, all the festivals you heard from today, and a link to the website. So now you've got some email addresses that you can grab as well. While you're thinking of your questions, I have a very special guest that I invited here today, Agnieszka, who is now, I want you to introduce yourself because now you've recently had a job change as well, but From what you were telling me, your summer festival life early on really set the trajectory for your career. And so I was just wondering if you could tell us a little bit about how important it is to have these experiences and what it meant to you to be able to do those.
Absolutely, Sonia, and thank you so much for again including me among all this wonderful privileged guests here on the panel, and thank you for joining us. So my name is Agnieszka Rahmatulayev, and I'm the Senior Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra. I just started my job there a little bit over a month, so I'm fairly new to my role, and I served in a number of roles through my career, most recently as the Executive Director of Oklahoma City Philharmonic, and prior to that, Indiana South Bend Symphony Orchestra as well. But as Sonia mentioned, at the very early beginning of my career actually did include two of these wonderful festivals that you heard from today. I work for my I have a violin performance degree, so I was a violinist and I was teaching in the Chicago area and performed with the Civic Orchestra of Chicago 2 years. And somehow I ended up in the administrative role for the 3rd year in there, and I worked with the Chicago Symphony for an entire year. And not knowing what I would do next with my career, not really knowing whether or not I would like to continue it as a performer or perhaps as an administrator, I found out a wonderful opportunity that Chris mentioned in the Grant Park Music Festival. If you have not been to Chicago and you have not seen the venue that was included in the PowerPoint, it's just an incredible venue. It is in heart of downtown Chicago, and I ended up working there for a summer in the artistic planning department. So I was working with some incredible artists, assisting with their artistic planning process, and even adjusting the balance of the sound of that incredible sound system that they have in Millennium Park, working very closely with the sound engineer. That summer really opened my eyes to the possibilities, and I really enjoyed the very fast-paced environment, the ability to have such a condensed experience in really, again, 10 weeks, 3 concerts at the very least, mostly more, in an incredible venue, and again, offered free to the community, which was an incredible aspect of what I think makes the GPMF incredibly special. And I was not only fortunate enough to be able to be there for the summer, but following the summer, I was actually offered to stay on, and that transitioned me into a firstly part-time and eventually a full-time career with the Grant Park Music Festival that lasted over the course of 5 seasons. So I got to spend 5 incredible seasons with the Grant Park Music Festival as the artistic planning and operations manager. And again, that entire span of my beginning of my career definitely influenced and allowed me to do everything that I'm doing up until today. And I really owe a lot to incredible artists, the managers that I got to work, and I know Carlos and Christopher very well, Chris. So it's just, again, it's an incredible organization, and I learned a lot from that time, again, both in the summer as well as in my following 5 seasons with them. And also, again, transitioning into the next steps of my career, I actually got selected to complete the fellowship program with the League of American Orchestras. I was one of the 2 last traveling fellows that got to actually travel to different organizations across that 1-year fellowship. And I started my fellowship year following the, again, 5 seasons at the Grant Park Music Festival at the beautiful setting of the Aspen Music Festival. And I spent a very full summer there, and then went to San Francisco Symphony and North Carolina Symphony to complete the rest of my year. But gosh, again, from an amazing setting in downtown Chicago to an incredible setting in Aspen Music Festival, talking about beauty, nature, but extraordinary artists and incredible opportunities. I got to actually be, I feel like I got probably the best one. I got to manage the ACA Orchestra, which is the orchestra that obviously they provide training opportunities to the young musicians, but not only that, I got to work very closely with 12 young conductors and work very close with Maestro Spano, Robert Spano, and Asador Santurian, who was there at that time, to kind of crafting each rehearsal to not only allow an opportunity for those young performers in orchestra, but also to young conductors. And to this day, I stay in touch with all of them, and I have seen their careers really flourish. So I feel very fortunate to be able to have had that opportunity at Aspen Music Festival. And I learned a lot. And I think that's kind of the common thread. And I don't want to repeat anything that was said already. But the festival environment, it really provides an opportunity to be a launch pad to your career, if you decide to do that. it's kind of like a boot camp, and you got to experience so much in such an intense setting within those few weeks, whether or not it's 4 or 10 or more. And you learn a lot, and you learn a lot about yourself, and you can test the waters. You can see whether or not this is a career for you. In festival environments, you have the opportunity to also work closely with other areas. So if you're assigned to one specific area, there will be cross-departmental projects that will allow you to maybe test out other areas. If you're an artistic, again, you might play a little bit of work with the education community engagement, a little bit of personnel, maybe a little in library, or maybe development and marketing. And that's the beauty of the festival environment, that there's so much happening, and you probably will have your hands on more than just one area. And I think that's an incredible benefit for most of you who I assume are in the beginning of their careers and are trying to figure out whether or not this is something that you would like to do. And then select your little path within all these wonderful areas, and then help solidify the next steps of our career. But again, the music festival environment and all of these wonderful opportunities are an incredible way to start your career. And again, I would not be here today working with an incredible orchestra in Baltimore if I had not had all of those wonderful experiences under my belt, and I was not provided with those wonderful opportunities, growing and learning opportunities by some incredible leaders and some incredible organizations. So I strongly encourage you. And please know that as an employer, now that I have been hiring for many, many roles in many organizations, we do look at those resumes. And once we see a festival, that is a very telling argument for me to definitely give that person the interview, or consider them, give them serious consideration, because I know what that means. I know if that person has been through a music festival, they can do the job because they had that full summer season of various experiences. And that is usually something that the employers, again, and I have gone through that myself through my various roles, definitely put a serious consideration once they see one of those festivals on your resume, knowing what that takes to actually successfully complete a summer in a music festival. So I'm happy to answer any questions in the Q&A. But again, thank you, Sonia, for giving me this wonderful opportunity, and all the wonderful and incredible people that are working in the music festival world for, again, continuing to provide this launchpad opportunities for the upcoming class and upcoming generation of arts managers in our field.
Thanks, Agnieszka. I couldn't agree more as an employer, and I'm in my 18th season at an orchestra. Yeah, I mean, those festivals on resumes, we know that they are solid experience, which is exactly why we here at Orchestra Careers created this event, because I talked to a lot of students or young, like early graduates, who are trying to apply for jobs and saying they want 3 to 5 years experience. I need the experience so I can, get the job, but I need the job to get the experience. This is the magic in between, right? This is professional experience, because as you heard from Agnieszka and myself and everyone here on the call, we could agree that this is really a solid foundation for your resume. Okay. We've been throwing a lot at you. You've been hearing a lot, and we wanted to hear any questions you might have for any of the festivals or just in general. Feel free to raise your hand or put something in the chat. Ginny.
There I am. Hi, is Bree here?
Bree is here.
I see Bree. She's my friend from undergrad. I wanted to say hi. I had a question for Chris Collins with Grant Park Music Fest, actually. So I'm really interested in the education and community engagement position. What I enjoy the most about my current position as a graduate assistant is I get a lot of opportunities to reach out to local music educators and to connect with local music programs. What kind of opportunities are there in this position to connect with music educators in the Chicago area?
It's a great question, Jenny. So We have a very interesting partnership at the Grant Park Music Festival. We are heavily municipally funded through the Chicago Park District and then also through the Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events. Due to a large bit of funding coming from the Chicago Park District, we are working with them primarily in terms of the delivery of the classical campers program that I mentioned, where we're bringing in the 80 new students each day. So there are several music educators who do work with the Chicago Park District. Many of the individual park locations throughout the city of Chicago actually have a cultural division at their park, and they actually hire a lot of the music educators in the schools to come and fill those positions during the summer. So there certainly would be a lot of really great networking opportunities. In addition to working with the schools directly, we have a number of really exciting partner organizations, the People's Music School, the Merritt School of Music, the Chicago Youth Symphony, that you are working with primarily in terms of getting students selected to participate in the master classes. So oftentimes you're working with those educators as well of the private studios and that sort of thing in terms of selecting repertoire for the master class and ensuring that the student is really set up for the most successful experience that they can have as part of the master class. So yeah, there are lots of those types of opportunities to get to network with a lot of the educational community here in Chicago, and would love to see you apply for the position.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Jenny. Anna.
Hi, y'all. My name is Anna. Thank you for coming today. This is a super generic question, I guess, but I'm an undergraduate student at a school in Richmond, Virginia, and whenever I'm meeting new people in arts administration, I always tell them I'm a violinist and a violist, but something that's also really important to me is storytelling and writing and all kinds of, I don't know, relaying information to people and just getting those stories out there. And this is a really generic question, but I was just wondering, I think I've looked through a lot of the job listings already, but does anyone know of any openings at their organizations that might involve that kind of storytelling? And if so, feel free to message me privately or something, but I would love to talk about that further with you. So
That's a great question, Anna. I see Dave unmuting.
Yeah, I'll just jump in. I don't want to jump into anyone else's space, but I can tell you our marketing department is a department of two, one full-time staff and the intern. And through social media, through content connection, it's all about storytelling. Pretty much the entire thing is storytelling. So we're always looking for that. We're looking for that person, and we're definitely looking for the person who has that ability to connect the story with people.
I'll add on there as well. I think our program book department definitely has, our weekly program is 100 some pages thick. Of course, there's some advertisement in there, but there's a lot of storytelling in there, whether it's not the piece or whatnot. We also do programs before some of our concerts, our Friday and Sunday concerts. There's a 30-minute to an hour long program that kind of just talks about some of the pieces being performed and how they were made and the whole story behind it and the composer's story. So, kind of through the artistic department, I see a lot of that kind of storytelling put on for everyone.
awesome. Thank you all so much. MVPs. I just really love writing. I love music, but I also love writing program notes and just communicating with people. So I might reach out to y'all via email. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Anna. Anyone else have any questions?
I would just mention that perhaps the development department or the development related internship might actually be a good fit for you, because it is all about telling the story and making the case to the funders ultimately about the mission of each of these organizations. So I feel that might be, in addition to marketing, which is obviously probably the top choice there, might be another opportunity for you to, again, being able to tell the story and to benefit the mission of the organization.
That is super helpful. Thank you so much.
Sarah, great to see you. You have a question?
So I'm a graduate student in philosophy, so and I assume music students are the easiest sell for some of these positions. Is that going to be limited with the kinds of jobs that I could apply for?
You also are a harpist and a composer. So
I can just speak from my standpoint as a hiring manager. It kind of just depends a lot on what the position is that you are applying for, and the types of responsibilities. In my case, when I'm hiring for the artistic assistant positions, my experience has been that people who are musicians succeed the most in those roles because they, have lived the life of being an orchestral musician to a certain extent. But what I'm really most looking for, to everyone's point about this kind of being a launch pad for your career, what I'm really looking for is someone who has a specific interest already expressed in arts administration. I want these positions to really set people up for success in the field. As you can see from Agnieszka, people who have started in, these summer positions can go on to have very, very successful full-time careers. For someone who would be a philosophy major, in all honesty, that might set you apart from a lot of the other candidates that I would be looking at, and would make you even a more compelling candidate in my estimation. So I would encourage you, any type of job that you're interested in, don't let the fact that you are not currently pursuing, music as a graduate student dissuade you from doing that. I think as long as you are, making it very clear in your resume that you have the music experience, being a composer, being a harpist, oh my goodness, those two things are so incredible, the types of skills that come along with those. And then also in your cover letter, really utilizing that opportunity to explain, why you're pursuing philosophy as your master's degree, but still honing in on your music skills and why you would be interested specifically in arts administration. I think in those cases, you wouldn't have anything to be concerned about as far as the Grant Park Music Festival is concerned.
If I can say amen on that, that's a great framework. It's also important when I look at candidates, I'm looking for problem solvers. I'm looking for people who think well on their feet and can be agile on the spot and in the action. Yes, it's great to have musical training, but if you're a media savvy sound engineer, it's a different kind of media training than being, or musical training than being an onstage performer. So I'm looking for problem solvers.
I'll add one more thing there.
Oh. No, you go, John.
So I'll be straightforward. I don't necessarily look at your major first thing. That's probably the fourth thing I'm looking at, fifth thing I'm looking at. I'm looking at your experience and your story. I will read your cover letter. That's where I can really tell it apart. And I'll also say, last summer, I'm not fully through hiring this year, but last summer I hired someone who, especially with the pandemic, a lot of people are showing experience at a store manager at Dairy Queen, and they can honestly win me over in their conversation of how that taught them how to be a good manager, and just how you can relate other experiences to the work that you want to do is really important.
Yeah, I mean, at the risk of belaboring the point, I'm sorry, Dave, a little bit here. Not only do I think it's an advantage, but some of the, I'll just maybe a little more blunt than Sonia would want. Some of the least effective folks I've had working for me have been really highly folks with doctorates in music that are just looking for work. And so they're taking kind of any work they can get. If you're passionate about doing arts administration and arts leadership, that's way more important to me than just about anything else. And having had a couple of people with, terminal degrees or a number of sort of music performance degrees look at me and say, well, that's not my job. well, it kind of is actually your job. And pretty much anything I say in these 4 weeks is your job is your job when you're at a music festival our size anyway. You know, that I wouldn't in any way for any of you on this call be concerned about that. It's, I mean, that would jump out to me immediately. A philosophy major, especially again with a musical background, or any person that's pursued a music degree and then something else. If you have a liberal arts degree with a focus in music, that's incredibly appealing, I think, to anybody on this call. So congrats, good for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of times when I'm talking to a lot of you one-on-one, which there'll be an opportunity for you to sign up for one of those. I like to say, what if people put you in charge of? That's the type of experience I'm interested in. What do your friends come to you to help solve for them? That's another thing that I really care about. Like, so don't underestimate any of the experience that you have. Tell the story as to why it's relevant to what you're applying for, and we want to hear it. We want to hear all those stories that you have to share with us. Jordan, I see your hand raised.
Hello, am I unmuted?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So I actually have a question for John. Over like the last year or two, I've spent time working as like a stage crew manager at our School of Music, and have worked as a marketing intern at our local symphony here in Lubbock. It's a smaller symphony. We do about 9 concerts a year, but it's still been a great experience. I've kind of noticed that I like the operations aspect of the job more so than I like the marketing aspect of the job. I think just getting everyone situated in their spot and getting everything cleanly running is one of my strong suits and one of my favorite things to do. So I noticed on your website you had multiple different kind of options for someone who's interested in that to do. You have, I think it's called house manager, operations assistant, and artist liaison offerings open. What would be the best position for someone who's just graduating college and looking to get any experience in furthering their career in that aspect?
Yeah, you know, I think there's a couple positions you could direct towards, and you know, that's kind of what I was saying a little bit earlier, that a lot of people will start in one of those positions and they'll come back the next summer and try out another one because they got to see that the whole 8 weeks and say, oh, maybe this is something I like. I will say the operations assistant will get you a taste of everything. And you know, a lot of people end up going operations assistant to operations or to orchestra manager. But I've also seen some go more on the stage crew side. That one is good, and that's especially kind of one of those first positions where you don't need too much experience. I'm really looking for someone that wants to be proactive and looking for those little experiences, little too big, and be able to take ownership too. The house manager one, I'll tell you, is more on the public facing side of operations. And you know, it's good if you really want to develop some of the communication skills or some of the development side. That can really be helpful, and we try to give as many opportunities to those positions as possible. And then you said you have a stage crew background, so if you really want to focus more on the production side, you know, those stage crew and then kind of working up through stage manager into higher levels of the production side. Yeah, I mean, at this point, the world's your oyster on which direction you want to take. So yeah, read through the descriptions, and if you have questions, feel free to reach out, and I might be able to help more specifically on that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Jordan. And Jenny put a question in the chat. Does your organization have a diversity and inclusion statement? And if so, can you link it in the chat? So if you have a link to that page or a copy paste or something that you can share, that'd be great. Erin, I see your hand raised.
Hi, it's so great to meet all of you panelists from such amazing organizations. My question is just a general, directed towards anyone who can answer it. Some of these positions that I'm looking at involve working with like CRM databases and ticketing software and stuff like that. And I have kind of, I've seen what they look like, but I don't have any hands-on experience working with these databases. And I was wondering if you look for people who do have that experience, or if you have any roles that can kind of serve as a launch pad to gain more experience working with those.
That's a great question. John, I saw
I
you.
can-
Go for it.
I think there's a lot of different programs that we might be working with, and each one might have a different level of experience that we're looking for. I'll tell you, when most of my positions, I'm looking for experience with Arts Vision, which is a scheduling program. And then Vectorworks for the production side. Most of these, honestly, I'm looking for the hire more than the experience with these. Yes, it might give a little bit of an advantage if you do have the experience, but also as a summer festival, I know that I'm bringing in people that might not have that experience. So I do have usually 2 weeks at the beginning of the contract that leaves ample time for that training to happen. And most of them, you're going to be on it for 8 weeks. And if there's a little bit of a learning curve to it, you've got it, you've mastered it by week 3 usually. So I wouldn't say it's the most important thing. Yes, it might give an advantage, but not too much.
Thanks, John.
I'll echo that with the Grant Park Music Festival as well. Yeah, we are, given the fact that this is a seasonal position, we recognize that the people who are coming in to this type of position might not have that tessitura experience. And we utilize that as an opportunity to kind of show them the basics. Primarily, you'll be working in the box office functionality of tessitura at our organization, but also doing some of the development stuff as well. If you get a call from a donor, for example, and you need to make note of the conversation you had with them in tessitura. So in our case, it is a really great opportunity to get to know tessitura, at least the basics.
Well, and a lot of times, YouTube, you might be able to source some videos, just some orientation videos, one-on-one. We use Arts Vision here at the Nashville Symphony, but I never used it before we started using it, so, but I think you could probably find some tutorials out there. If you do, let us know and we'll share them with the community. But the tessitura is so widely used. I think there's probably some public facing opportunities to just get an orientation to what it looks like and what it can do. And if you've worked in a database, and by the way, Excel is a database, like just think about how you manage through that and how you work well within that. That the scope of it, like Excel or any other database that you've used, there's really applicable knowledge, and we can help you talk about that experience that you had and how you apply it to your next experience at the festival. All right, we've got time for 2 more questions. I see 2 more hands. Julia, what's your question?
Hi, I just want to thank everyone again, like everyone else has said, for being here. It's been such an informational and experience, and it's been great. I think someone said this in the chat, but I wasn't sure. And I've had mentors say, apply to as many things as you can, cast a wide net, different festivals, multiple positions within festivals. Do you, as head hiring managers and that kind of thing at festivals, how does that make you feel about different candidates if you see they've applied for multiple positions at your festival?
I'll go, because this is quick for us, that we're a small group, right? So we definitely apply to as whatever is interesting to you. And we will actually talk amongst the staff who are doing the interviewing to see who might fit best in the roles that they've applied for. So I would say definitely apply to anything that you find interesting and you think you'd like to learn more about. And then through the through the interview process, then you can have a further discussion about if this is the right fit, or if maybe it might be better for you to go to marketing instead of development, or blah, blah, blah. You can have those conversations.
I can add there. Yeah, I'll see, especially our program for applications or the portal. I'll see all the positions you applied for. but I don't think that's a bad thing. I will say I will be able to very quickly tell if you're just applying for anything or if you're applying for things that are applicable to your future career and something that you'll enjoy. Usually it's pretty visual on the resume. One thing I will add, if you are going to do that though, is make sure each cover letter addresses why you're applying for each of the jobs. I don't want to see the same one 8 times because that shows that you're just applying for whatever. And also be ready to answer that question in the interview, especially if you're getting multiple interviews at an organization with different departments. Once again, they know, and they're going to probably ask, are you really going to like this position or would you rather have been in this position? So be ready for those questions.
Thanks, John. Haley, I see your hand.
I actually had a very similar question to what was just previously asked, but I guess in general, just to go off that, for instance, in my case, I have a background in operations, but I'm interested in exploring and furthering that into the personnel realm as well. So maybe to all our panelists, has anyone had a similar shift in their career, and how did you navigate going through that, especially resume based? My resume might reflect more strongly towards the operations side, but I'm interested and curious in the personnel as well.
We love our personnel managers, by the way, and speaking as an operations professional, like, yes, I think that you're actually probably very close. It's going to be a close and you know, depending on your skill set, personnel management, I think, is so closely related to the operations team that I think a festival is going to be a great way for you to explore that side, because like everyone on this call has said, you are going to be thrown into the mix with a lot of people, a lot of different ages, and a lot of workloads that everybody is trying to carry, which can and kind of, you know, just make for a lot of challenging situations to navigate through. And as a personnel manager, you can bring calm to the chaos. So I think that there would be some really great opportunities. But Chris Williams, I see you unmuted.
Haley, I think you said it beautifully just now. You were very truthful and very honest. In your cover letter, you say that. You say, I have a great deal of experience in one field. I'm very interested in making a transition or learning about a transition. You say that honestly, and that's something that as a reader, I would find very interesting.
Yeah, I would only add that, you know, it's just a job, but it's an education as well. You're here to learn, and we appreciate that. And that's our focus. Our focus is to help you get to where you want to go. So, you know, we're not looking for the person who's the absolute 100% perfect fit who can't do anything else, because what more do they need or want to learn? We want somebody who is looking to learn in that position.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much to everyone attending today. We covered so much ground, and there's probably more questions that you might have or you think of. You've got a lot of email addresses, and I just put another one in there, info@orchestracareers.com. You can, any questions that you think of that you want to get to one of the panelists, I can always forward it as well. But we've talked so much about all the opportunities, and we're not just going to leave you hanging there. Our next event in February is actually called Job Application Masterclass, and we've got a really special guest that we will tell you all about in our newsletter for February. But you know, we really here at Orchestra Careers, our whole mission is to help be that bridge that you need from your college experience to career, and this is included. So if you would like a one-on-one follow-up to talk now about your application and how to build that cover letter and that resume and get ready for the interviews, email me at info@orchestracareers.com. And that is one of my most favorite things to do, is help you get ready to land one of these amazing summer experiences. All right. Well, thank you to our panelists. Thank you for your time, and please, you know, all the attendees and people viewing this later, yeah, seek out these opportunities. They really will give you a great foundation, and we want you. We need you in our organizations and at our festivals. So please join us. We'd be glad to have you. All right, well, that's all for today. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon.